it's not publishing it for the sake of like making it in any sort of sense. It's publishing in the sense of communicating something.
But what's stopping you from like buying a domain and putting it out there and like and then like
it's
people
not gonna do anything.
What do you mean that it's not gonna like if HarperCollins publishes the book, that's gonna do something?
But neither of them are gonna do anything.
So what do you mean by publishing?
Art is the communication.
Okay, so let's say that Louis.
The problem is the art.
Okay, so let's say that Louis writes a book, and he wants the people to read this because it's a work of art, right? Now he sends it to 10 publishers. 8 of them rejects it. 2 of them say. So no. So what do you mean? Like, well, he wants to publish it.
Like people reading it is the work of art in this time.
Right. So what do you mean by publishing?
People understanding what you're thinking is like the problem. I just like that's what I'm saying. Like you're saying like, oh, like success is like a false thing. It's like no. Well,
no. Other people's idea of success.
And I'm just saying like just ignore it. Like just ignore whatever everybody else decided. That's the goal of humanity. Like they're fucking idiots. Like just focus on like what actually is like. When does this work actually become communicated?
Okay, right. Yeah.
Like, if the work does not get communicated, that is, like, the death of the work. It might as well, in some sort of sense, like, it might as well have never occurred in the first place. I mean, that's, like, an over-exaggeration. Of course, by doing that work, you will have, like, an impact on the people around you and in your life. But in terms of, like, if you spend your life creating something, and especially in this age where it's very, very difficult, like the thing that you started talking about this in this conversation, like the thing that's most difficult is to get people to respect the place of respect, because that's the only place where they start to think and understand. And so, like, art today, like, this is why I'm sort of fascinated with, like, an aspect of like, traditional or classical revival, because I think I need to create, how do I, like, word this, like, in a way that doesn't sound, like, incredibly hubristic, or I'll just say it, like, I'll say it anyways. Like, I guess what I'm thinking is, like, what's needed is to create art which sort of, like, demands respect, or from my perspective right now, I see it as, like, sort of demanding the respect, because no other form of communication people will respect enough to see it deeply. Like, you could think about politics for 1,000 years and then say something today and people would just, like, laugh at it. But with art, if you can, it's sort of like cooking a soup that everybody loves. If you can paint something that speaks to the inner voice of someone before it speaks to all the external shit, which is controlled by, like, Kamala Harris debates and, like, stuff like that. Like, that whole side of reality is what I'm saying that we should ignore. But it's like, in order to get past it, there's such a, like, drastic movement in, like, the other direction that needs to be taken. Like, yeah, it's like an infiltration of sorts. Like, to be able to be free in this time period and still have your ideas or your being communicated genuinely, that is, in my opinion, that is the work, that is the art, that is, like, the main challenge. And I think that can be done visually, to the point of, like, if you could paint the right picture with the right intention and the right brushstrokes and the right subject, the right colors and the right homages to different artists and so forth, I think you could hit that point in everybody's inner self that lies beyond this superficial reality that we need to transcend.
Yeah. But you're right, but you can't really care about those things because you know, like, you don't even know what those things are until it shows up spontaneously on its own in some way.
Yeah, but is it really spontaneous if, like, everything you do in between the actual act is, like, honing in your idea of what you know, life and humanity mean?
I mean, that could be, like, the general guiding principle of those things, but, you know, like, aligning all of those things, like the right subject, the right brushstroke, that's, you know, that can happen, but I'm just saying that, I don't know, it can't all be calculated. Otherwise, it would be too easy. In a way,
that would be, like, the formulaic version of an actually, like, figurative movement. Like, it's not actually a science.
Right.
But that's how I'm choosing to describe what it would be if it were a science. What the extreme would be. And obviously, all that we can do is some striving towards that.
Right.
And that would be a more Dionysian sort of discovery. But there's a difference between, like, pure chaotic, just, like, anything goes, it's all meaningless, like, versus, like, there's something to do. I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna try.
I'm gonna ask Kate Moss to show up.
Right. I need her to spread her legs even wider so I can really get to the prize jewel of this painting.
See, now, what's interesting is that, actually, if you look at the center of that painting, that's exactly where you find the prize jewel. There's nothing... Right.
I mean, it's just like, you were sort of... I think the reason why I went on that is, like, you were sort of saying... I know, like, you didn't mean it in that way, but you were sort of saying, like, I don't want to hunger. And, like...
Well, for the wrong thing. That's what I should have added, the clause. You know, it's like... because that is also death. Like, I'm saying, like, the mechanical aspect of, like, being like, oh, I need to have, like, 10 exhibitions or, you know, whatever. Like, that, it's not about that. Like,
But that link, yeah, sorry.
like, it's not, like, what matter, that cannot be the guiding principle. Like, then that's whatever success is, you know, it's like, that should be, like, I don't know, like, a byproduct of whatever the guiding principle produces. Like, you know.
But those exhibitions, they're not real at all.
Yeah, that's what exactly. So why would I thirst to be in that situation? Like,
No, I don't even think that you should think of, like.
Right.
It's
like,
sort of like thinking about Joe Biden.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. I agree with that. Yeah.
It's like, why even think about Joe Biden?
Right. Why? Yeah. Why even think like that I should put any energy to resisting that?
Like, why manifest that reality at all?
Right. Exactly. Because the moment I put that as a valid part of the equation, that becomes my reality, you know?
Right. If you're weighing whether or not those exhibitions have merit, even though you know that they absolutely don't, then you already know that it's a waste of time.
Right.
Right? Like, I don't need to weigh which president to shill for, because I already know that I'm not going to find out anything about them that's redeeming. I'm not going to find them, like, beautiful. Because I know that they're not. I know, like, what sorts of things they must be doing in order to be in that position in the first place.
Yeah, which nobody
And so
ever
I know-
talks about, dude. It's like, don't you think
Right.
that any one of these people ever sign off on literally, like, killing people? Like, what do you, like, how do you think this person is a saint or the savior that everybody makes
They're
them
not.
out?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, like, think about what you're making is, like, the audience is not the sort of people or the part of people that believes in that stuff. Like, because that is what will fade away. That's what's, like, a distraction from true reality and from, like, the true evolution of man. And so if you cater to that audience in any way, you're killing a part of yourself. You're
Right.
throwing it into the pile of weeds that are going to be burned. Whereas instead what you can do is, like, put all of your being into the garden, into, like, the plants, the tomatoes and the zucchini, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can make all of your soul, all of the beneficial things, and you can be speaking to the, you know, yeah, like the I don't know how the metaphor works, but you can be speaking to the other plants in the garden, and like I feel like, again, I'm thinking about Bukowski. Like, a lot of his work is, like, it's talking to the other, say, like, tortured artists or something, or the other people that are thinking. It's not talking to the people that he sees every day, and the people in the supermarket, and, like, the people working, and the people who are lost. Like, he's not speaking to them. Like, yeah, in a way that sounds, like, kind of cold or something, but it's the only way for his action to be meaningful. Otherwise, he's just playing into it by resisting it. He's giving it strength. But if he speaks to some time in the future when people understand what he's saying, well, then when it finally is understood, it will be very sober and coherent. And, like, as someone, like an artist today or a thinker today, if in any way they put their being towards like can you imagine if right now I was writing some like long paragraph on Facebook about which president to vote for?
Oh, dude. Right, like a boomer person, dude. I don't know. Doesn't that sound right? Like, am I using the right generation? Like, aren't there's a group of people that open Facebook and then like, yeah, like they tend to be the kind of person that writes political stuff as if it like ever really matters.
But like Lorenzo would do that.
We can go on his Facebook right now. I don't think I'm friends.
Most people are doing that in some way.
Right.
They're writing this like narrative of like that's like a fan fiction of the mainstream. It's really pathetic in a like existential way.
Yeah.
It's very much like this very base emotion of knowing the answer without ever stopping to think about like, do I understand life or do I just have like an emotional need to give my 2 cents on like which president to vote for? It's like, yeah, it's like a boomer thing, but it's also like
the culture at large.
The entire new sphere. And it's really, really like dangerous. But it's not, because there are people out there that see through it. It's a very, very like persuasive insanity. Okay, so there was like a fake storm here last week.
There's a fake storm. Okay, you're literally talking about the weather. Right, the thing that everybody's worried about.
So literally, like, there was this, like, it was on the news, like, non-stop, and people were talking about it non-stop. And from the moment I first caught wind of it, I knew it was fake. I always can tell when fake shit is happening. I'm just like, for some reason, I'm like really, really good at picking it up. And so from the moment I heard about this, just like because of the energy about it, like, oh, like nothing's gonna happen, like it's fake. And so this huge storm comes, which is supposed to like destroy like so much shit or whatever, and it's supposed to be really scary. The whole city shuts down for like 3 days. Like the banks are closed.
What? That's insane.
Yeah. You know how much it rained? Like, it rained like just like a normal amount. And it was supposed to be like cataclysmic, like, because the newscasters were like hyping it up as this like, it had a name and everything, and I was just like, this doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't feel like a big storm's coming. Like, it feels like a normal, just like summertime rainstorm. And I've been through some crazy ass storms here. And like, the weird thing is like, this storm came and it was just like nothing. But the people were so brainwashed by the media that told them that they needed to like hype up this storm, that even after the storm came and went and no damage was done, people still like haven't realized, they haven't stopped to think like, wait a minute, like what was all that panic about? Like what was that whole like story that these news anchors were going on about? Like none of that actually happened. But the way that like people are taught to think now, they don't do that. Like they actually still talk about, like, even after the fact, they talk about like, oh man, like how was your storm week? They don't sit and talk about how there was actually no storm at all, like for the most part. And like they don't talk about how they feel like cheated, which they should feel. Like if someone told you all week like, well, your house is going to burn down, your house is going to burn down, like, you do this, and that, and the week's over and your house didn't burn down, shouldn't you be like, wait a minute, like, what the fuck was that guy? Why was he telling me that? But obviously, the reason why the news people did it is because then they get a bunch of money that people start tuning into their news, right?
Yeah.
And they have to do it to, like, stay alive. It's like a...
Right, their whole model is like that.
Right. If people stop caring about the weather, then they're not going to make any money. So they have to, like... It's like the cops. Like, if the cops are running low on money, they have to just, like, find reasons to arrest people. But if you think about, like, how unjust that is, like... that means that you're more likely to be a criminal if the cops don't have enough money. Like,
right.
It's just like, it's basically one of those things, and it's like, we need to, like, as human beings, need to see, like, through this sort of, like, imbecility of corporations and any kind of, like, economically incentivized thing, is that it's going to, like, lie and cheat and steal in order to get what it wants. But people just, like, are not ready to think for themselves. And that's what the whole government is like the same thing. It's like it's going to use all of its power to keep itself in power. And that's its, like, main, like, its main way of, I don't know the word for it, like, it's sort of like biological essence, is that it's going to lie and cheat and steal in any way it can in order to instill itself further into culture. And, like, the problem with the government is that it has all of the best tools to do that. It has all of the money, it has all of the workers. So it's the most powerful self-propelling system. But anyways, the reason why I brought up that storm...
yeah, the storm, yeah.
...was because then John went to the doctor today.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a week after the storm. John went to the doctor today, and, okay, so then they told him, like, oh, the doctor's going to be, like, a little late, right?
Yeah.
He's stuck in traffic. Okay, like, most people here would think, like, that means, like, 5 minutes late, because there's no such thing as traffic in Savannah.
Right.
There's no way for traffic to form. Like, it's not... It's a small city in the middle of nowhere. Like, it's impossible for, like, traffic. There's nowhere for traffic to be unless it's, like, a minute long. And so John sits there for, like, an hour and a half and, like, falls asleep. And he's, like, wakes up and he's like, wait a minute, like, what the fuck? Like, where's the doctor? And he talks to the nurse again. He's like, oh, like, sorry, like, the doctor's still stuck in traffic. Like, she's like, what are you talking about? She's like, yeah, like, yeah, he's waiting. There's traffic because of the flood from the storm. And, like, there was no flood, really. Like, it was just, like, a normal amount of rain, and, like, it caused no damage. Like, there's no part of the city that got shut down from that. So, like, this person used, like, this really, like, base lie that in her mind was, like, a really good lie, because subconsciously she understands that, like, everyone is so brainwashed by this, like, fake catastrophic storm that it's actually, like, real for them.
Mm-hmm.
Where in my mind, like, it's the same exact thing as the pandemic. It was, like, people were so...
People made it real, in a way, yeah.
Right, they made it real. Like, it started with the news stories, and then they found out all the ways that they could confirm, like, the predictions, basically. which is a very psychotic way of society behaving. Like, imagine if it didn't, like, the extreme of it would be if it didn't even rain at all, and then she was like, oh, like, the doctors caught up in that storm that the government was talking about. And it's like, it's been nothing but sunny for 3 weeks. Like, oh, he got swept away in a twister on his way to work, because then the government's on TV saying, like, stay inside, stay inside. Oh, the doctor drowned in a flood, and we're sorry.
And it's literally sunny outside. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's an exaggeration in order to like, showcase what's actually happening, which is sort of like the point of, like, Orwell, right?
Right, yeah.
I've been watching The Hobbit.
Oh, yeah? Wait, which one?
Yeah.
Like the first Hobbit movie?
The first 2 Hobbits.
You watched both of them?
Yeah. Desolation of Smog. Watched tonight. It was John's idea, actually.
I see. Wait, have you watched The Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I see. So, what do you think of The Hobbit?
Well, I've seen everything I've seen so far. I just haven't seen the last movie before. But now I like The Hobbit better, actually. I think it's slightly more nuanced. I think that, I just think its themes are, like, a little bit deeper. And overall it's sort of worse, but actually overall it's sort of better. That makes no sense at all, but like, it doesn't, like, hit that same, like, classic spot
as Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings does.
Yeah.
Does, but in a way it's actually, like, a better set of films, I think.
You really think so?
Yeah, just because it's, like I said, like, it's very, like, nuanced and, like, it's, like, very, very good. Like, I'm watching it, I've gotten so much inspiration on, like, what you can do with storytelling. Whereas, like, the Lord of the Rings sort of feels like Star Wars, where it feels like it's just, like, this one-off sort of thing that came together really well, and it's just like, oh, like, that's really cool, like, they did a good job. Whereas The Hobbit is more real, where I can actually see, like, sort of a pinhole into Tolkien's mind, and, like, see all the things he was trying to do, and how he could have done it better, but also, like, how he did it way better than I feel like anybody could do in 1,000 years. And to me, it's a lot of questions on, like, creating some kind of, like, mythos, or, like, just, like, when thinking about these stories, it's like, what aspect of the story, if, one, there's probably several, but which aspect, like, allowed him to create something so complete on, like, a multifaceted level, and, like, how do all of the elements go together so well, and, like, how do these mythological races, I feel like this is sort of the main thing, is, like, how do these mythological races feel so real, where they're actually, like, realer than real.
Yeah, I think he started with The Hobbit, the book itself, before he wrote Lord of the Rings. Like, in one edition of The Hobbit, there's like a preface, and I think it's written by his son, Christopher Tolkien, I think, or something like that. And he basically tells the story of how, like, his father, Tolkien Senior, I guess, thought of, like, the whole story, and it came to him when Christopher, like, his son, was, like, really young. And and I think the first sentence starts with something like, "In a little hole or whatever, there is a hobbit," or something.
Right.
So yeah, I think before, I mean, I may be wrong, but before the other books were written, the first book that ever was written was The Hobbit itself.
No, that's correct. Yeah.
Really? So the movies, okay.
So they did the Lord of the Rings first for some reason. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know why.
Because of the Star Wars kind of thing, you know, to make the buku bucks.
Yeah, exactly. I think there is an element of, like...
Yeah, like Harry Potter, like Twilight, Star Wars.
Right, that's the problem with film, is that there's an element of greed to it.
Dude, yeah, that
hopefully doesn't get in the way of the art too much.
Yeah, and like I can only think of like 3 Harry Potter movies that I really like, and the rest of them were sort of felt like fillers. And just every time there was a new movie, like the whole internet, everything, I mean, probably the whole world was like filled with it. Like airports, they would sell the books, and like of course on the cover of the books they would, you know, print the movie poster.
Right.
Like ruin the whole thing for you in a way.
Right.
And yeah, also again, like not only Harry Potter, but like the same thing with Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and whatever. It's like as seen on screen, or and like posters and mugs. Yeah, it's, of course, that's a great part of it. Yeah. You know what we should do?
Smoke meth.
How did you know that was? I think that's the solution. I think Tolkien did that. I think that was a secret. And a little hole. Yeah, in a little hole there was a hobbit smoking meth. Can you imagine if
and I smoked with him.
Dad, you can't write that.
I can. Yes, I can, son. The world just isn't ready, Dad. I'm ready.
I'm ready. I want to be dirty.
Crack pipe. I'm gonna ride this world dirty.
Well, what I was gonna say was, let's go to Scotland and then meet J.K. Rowling and smoke her, yeah, until she poofs away.
Yeah, I agree.
Have you read the Harry Potter? Wait, have you watched Harry Potter?
Yeah.
All the movies?
No, not like the recent ones.
Like the last 3 or something?
Not the retarded ones.
Okay. Okay. Have you read any? Have you read any of the Harry Potters?
Sorry, my father is perfectly shaven.
Right.
No, I don't read. I don't know how to read.
Yeah. What is she writing these days? Let's see.
I don't give a fuck. Why do you care?
Why do I care what she's writing?
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I mean, if Tolkien was alive, would you be like...
J.K. Rowling is not.
No.
J.K. Rowling is like somewhere between Tolkien and Twilight.
That should be on the cover of every Harry Potter book. Suddenly all the sales go down.
No, yeah. I think Harry Potter is worse than people think it is.
You broke every girl under 12's 12 that you broke their hearts.
Like, the difference between Harry Potter and Tolkien is night and day.
Night and day, night and day.
Harry Potter's imaginative and stuff, but Tolkien is like...
The big daddy.
He's a big daddy. I'm not ready for this. Why did I do this?
Is that what you were gonna say when you smoked meth?
Yeah, with Tolkien.
You made me do it.
No, I'm drawing. I did 2 studies of the Matisse portrait, and I should have 3 before. Now I'm drawing it from memory.
Who did Matisse tease?
That's a good question.
No, I want to... Where is Gabe Monar? Is he in Scotland, or...
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, did you see him?
No.
Did you ever, like, wonder, like, did you ever want to see him in Scotland? Like...
I never knew he was in Scotland.
Yeah, I think he's in... Well, I think he at least used to be in Scotland.
Is he a Nazi? Wait, what? Never mind, sorry.
Separate thing. All right, I think I'm gonna go catch some Z's.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep drawing Matisse.
All right, I'll check it out. I'm gonna see how you tease Matisse.
Well, I wanted you to see my Matisse.
Hello?
Hello?
What was that?
Well, I got a call
Okay, from Gabe Monar.
from Gabe Monar, but I have to finish this voice. Or maybe I'll just try to finish it quickly so you can see the end result. I try to make this as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Did you watch that Samuel Beckett video?
Oh no, the one with the scream thumbnail. No, I really wanted to watch that. I'm gonna find it again and watch it.
Alright. Let's see it.
Is it a must watch?
It's pretty interesting.
Okay.
It's very disturbing, but through the right mindset, it's not disturbing at all, actually. Alright, let's call that done. I think I remembered more than I thought I would.
Oh yeah, right. Wow. I like that. I was actually also thinking of doing that, sketching that out, yeah. But I like it.
That was the study.
Whoa. Yeah, I like both for different reasons. Well, the first one because I see more of the head and the other side, and then with the second one, I like the intensity of the shadows.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the study was over much, that was during, like, our call, basically. I was going pretty slowly, just, like, talking and sort of looking at it a bit.
Right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna.
All right, good luck.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.